You might have already heard about the map method, but couldn't really understand its use. However, in this video we are going to tackle what is the map method, where you should want to use it, some of its specific properties, and some real-world examples, so you can already start applying the map method in your own project. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. The map method, just like the for each or the reduce, iterates through the whole array. Then, it transforms the value of every single element of the array, and finally, it returns a brand new array that is usually stored inside a variable. Let's break it down a little bit more in depth. This time, we'll understand the syntax and arguments of this method with a quick, fast example. So, we have here an array of numbers, and you want to transform every single element of the array. What are you going to do? You're going to create a variable called transformers, which is going to be equals to the numbers.map. The map method receives only a callback function. So let's put a callback function inside, which can be something like function, then the parentheses, and the individual number. Now the curly braces, and let's return something, because this needs to be returned. And the return value can be, as an example, the current number times 2. Then you can console.log numbers, and below you can return the transformers. And as you can see, the only thing that really happened is the multiply by 2. However, you don't even really need to use this parameter, the number. You can simply put 5 times 2, or simply put everything is equals to a. It's really possible. Of course, you can also work with the index. Imagine you have here the number, which is the current iteration, the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5. But then you can also put the index. Would be something like 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. And you can also apply the array here. So imagine that you want to multiply the number times the index. So the first one is always going to be empty, obviously. 0, 2, 6, 21 and 20. Well, this is a lot of information. But let's remove the index and the array of here. And let's return the number, just the number. And let's make this function into an arrow function. So, remove the function keyword. You can also remove the parentheses because we are only receiving one parameter. Remove the return, remove these curly braces as well. And let's just put the arrow function. And now we are returning the exact same name. If you want to return something else, times 2 as an example. But what if you want to make conditions? You can. You don't need to straight away return it. So let's put the curly braces again and make a condition. We are going to verify if the number divided by 2 is equals to 0. The rest. And then you are going to return the number times 2. If you can see here, since we are not even returning anything at the other possibilities, in other programming language you would need to, but in this case, in JavaScript you only need to return whatever you want, we only returned based on conditions, so the rest is undefined. And since the rest is undefined, what does this mean? Is that the array that the map returns is always going to be of the same length of the numbers.
Oh shit, here we go again.
You can already hear your computer, right? Because can you understand how much memory is allocated every time you use the map? Yes, the map is a really powerful method, but it also comes with a cost.
What did it cost?
Everything. A lot of memory allocation that may not even be used. So if you want to make conditions and you don't really want the whole array, try to use a filter or a reduce or something like that, because this way you're going to allocate too much memory that you don't even need to. In this case, if you want to do it something like, let's even multiply by 2, the rest just stay the same. Okay, this is fine. But leaving undefined spaces, that's not a really good practice. But now, with the basics covered, let's get a little bit more realistic and start with the real-world examples. Someone asked me to teach them how to format names. We have here all these 3 names. I'm going to put Ponatan just so it is a little bit different from Jace. And what we want as a basic name is the first letter uppercase and the last lowercase. So all of them has their own problem, or some of them also have 2. But let's try it out. The const format is going to be equals to the names.map, and you are going to use the name, which is a singular to names. It's one name only. Is going to be a return of what? Of the name. But instead of returning the name, what we want to do first is returning the first letter uppercase. So let's put the name. You can use the 0 if you want, but I'm going to use the chair at because it's more professional-like. Tool uppercase. And this way, if we console log the format already, we are going to see the first letter of each individual name in uppercase already. However, this is going to take a little bit more space. Let me just put it this way, around there. There we go. Now we run the rest of the name, because we have the first letter. Oh yes, because now we need the return.
Dude, of course.
We don't have an instruction without curly braces. We don't need a return, but now we do need the return. Since we already have the first uppercase, let's just put the rest of the name, right? But now we get 2 times the first letter. Let's just splice it up, or slice it up, instead of splice. We are just going to remove the first character, so it gets already fine. And it's pretty much fine until the John and the Ponathan, which have uppercase in the middle of the name. And to change that, we can simply put 2 lowercase. And now, Joe, John and Ponathan, everything well formatted. If you have names a little bit more complex, just as the Cena, John Cena, with spaces and all, you can use something like the names dot split. You can split one string into 2 separated by spaces. And then if you console.log what we split, you can see that the John and the Cena got separated. And then you can already apply the same thing that we just did here. And then you need to concatenate them again, obviously. But in my opinion, it's already plenty. So get back to work. I'm not going to do that. However, if you want to learn more about strings and arrays in JavaScript, make sure to click in that playlist so you can understand how the strings and arrays work in JavaScript and also understand its methods, such as the map method, the for each method, and all that methods that you want to learn. The next real world example is going to be based on a shop, and you want to receive all the data from it separated. A separate array for the names of the products and a separate array for the prices. How do we do that? Const names equals to products.map product equals to product.name. This is going to be what we are going to return. And if you console log it, you are going to see that we got the names of every product. And the same can be done with the prices. And this, guys, is just to help you with extracting specific individual attributes from an object and putting it separated in an array. However, the next one is even better, the next example. Now we have a little bit more complex store. And this store is a store that sells fruits and other stuff. And every single morning we receive a lot of new fruits and of new items, new products. And then when we receive everything in store, we also receive everything through the server so we can keep tracking our data. And this is what we received from the database. The ID, the name, the price that we bought the items, the resale price, the price that we are going to sell to our clients, to our customers, and then the quantity, how many of each fruit we got. So for that, only thing that you need to do is creating here const maximum daily profit is going to be equals to the products.map. We're going to reuse every single product. Then we are going to return not an array but an object for every single iteration. It's going to still be an array of objects. We are going to use the ID, the name, and the profit, which is going to be calculated later. Let's check it out. ID is going to be equals to the product.id. Name is going to be the product.name. And lastly, the profit is going to be equals to something. I'm going to leave it like this just for now. Let's just console.log the maximum daily profit. This is looking like this at the moment. The ID, the name, and the profit. However, the profit is still a secret. So let's make it. Instead of putting the formula straight here, I'm going to create a constant, so it gets a little bit easier to read. So, what is going to be the formula for the profit? It should probably be something like how much we make for each product. So, if we bought it for 99 cents and it's 1,20 cents, yes, we are basically making 23 cents profit. So what we need to do is a subtraction. So, product.resale price minus product.price, now parentheses around here, times the quantity, because you got 23 cents here and you can make that 23 cents profit for 29 times. And now this should be already working. Let's put the profit inside of here. Oh yes, product.quantity. Because if you don't put product.quantity, the quantity isn't something in itself. It needs the original object, of course. Then as you can see here, it's already calculating stuff. However, so many decimal cases, we don't want that. For that, you can simply come here at the beginning, put another pair of parentheses, and say that this is going to be parsed as float. So, with that parsed in float, it was already a float, but this way, you can already use the toFixed and apply it of 2. And by applying it of 2, we can already see that we only got the 2 decimal cases. And with this, it's pretty much it. If you also want, you can make something like a for each to run through every profit and maybe create a variable to sum it up and create an object at the end or at the beginning of the array with the maximum profit and this name here. But this is something really easy to do. You can do it. I'm just going to add something here to the profit, which is going to be the euro symbol, just so you understand that it is a profit. But with this euro symbol, I think that it's already perfect. There are a couple of mistakes that people usually make when using the map method. So make sure to pay extra attention to these ones. Being the first one, the map method always returns an array. So don't try to change this. Don't try to change the original array. If you are using the map method, always, but always transform it. Don't change it. Keep your code simple. In this case, you can see that we only have a return of an object, which only uses things related to the product. The profit is a little bit more complex, but it's still pretty simple, because it's simply a formula that I taught in a moment and then applied it. It's something really normal to do. And this is even better, because doing this way, creating a new variable, it's way better than take it from here and change this profit and leave it like that. Don't ever do it. This is a really bad practice. If you are making huge formulas, always create the variable to store it. Use arrow function, guys. The arrow function is faster and easier to read. It maintains your code clean. Avoid side effects. Don't make requests to the API. Don't make requests to the database. Don't try to change the state of the application. Neither of these things inside of the map method, because the map method iterates, and even though you make a condition and all, I wouldn't believe in that condition. It can break your code. So if you want to make requests or changes at the application level, don't do it strictly inside of the map. Do it outside, previously or after, something like that, but don't do it inside, please. Don't do it, don't. Always use meaningful names, because if I don't put the product, instead of product I put item, that could start already making it harder to read. And this is not only for you, it's for you of the future that might want to grab that code and copy something from it or just understand something from it, or for other people that want to read your code and didn't really wrote it, so they don't really understand what's there. So always make sure to put nice names that anybody, or at least the majority of the people that would need to read your code, could actually read your code. And lastly, make sure to test your code. It's yours. Why wouldn't you test it, right? So, even though the rest is good, always make sure to give a little bit more time, a little bit more attention to the map, because the map, it's like a girlfriend. If you don't pay attention to it, it is going to have an expected behavior. So always, but always make sure that you are giving her enough attention, because imagine that the price or the resale price or the quantity doesn't have the expected format. Imagine that some of it, it's a char or a string. It might give you an error or might not work properly. So try to make that validations that you might need to do. And now let's have a look on how's the browser support doing for this map method. As you can see here in the Can I Use website, always make sure that you are in the right method, because this is a great map, but there are a lot of map methods in JavaScript. You can see here in the Mozilla website, you can see that this is the method that we've been using, so it's the right one. And the 96%, just as a lot of other iterative methods that we have already covered in the channel. So the browser support is not an excuse to avoid using the map method. However, performance is. As mentioned previously, the map method is always going to return an array of the exact same length as the original array. What could that do? Allocate a lot of memory. And what does allocating a lot of memory does? It burns your computer. So, before trying to work with large sets of data, make sure to ask NASA or Elon Musk for a nice computer, so you can already start manipulating your data with the map. Jokes aside, but yes, if you're working with a large set of data, you might have to take care of it, if you know what I mean. But basically, if you want to work with large sets of data, you might have to search for an alternative. Or if you think that there's no problem with it, go ahead, use the map method. See if I care. And this, guys, is pretty much everything you need to know about the map method in JavaScript. If you also want to learn more about the reduce method in JavaScript, click in this video right here, around there, in your screen. Yes, click on it. Click! And finally, thank you for watching this video until here. If you still have any doubts, leave a comment that I will help you out. I'm Diogo Veigas and I'll see you in the next video.